Good evening, everyone. We will begin our ceremony tonight with America the Beautiful, and it will be performed by the Sweet Adeline's Five Valley Chorus.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. America, America, America.
Now we will have the placing of the wreath by Jaden Gregory, the granddaughter of Don Gregory, and Ethan LePayne, grandson of Stephen LePayne. Now the presentation of the colors by the Missoula Police Department Honor Guard.
Detail, attention! Can everybody please stand? Detail, attention, cut! Forward, march! Freeze and lock! Ready, halt! Center, base! Post colors.
Oh, say
Order.
can you
Up.
see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order, arm. Order, arm. Left, base. Forward, march. Mark on. Mark. Ready. Ready. Halt. Halt.
Now our invocation by Missoula Police Department Chaplain Brian Mosier.
Let's pray. Jesus, you said that to be greatest in your kingdom was to become the servant of all. And you said that you did not come to be served, but to serve and give your life for many. And tonight we just honor those who have chosen to serve this community. We have chosen to honor those who have chosen to serve this state and even this nation and God, and even to honor the greatest, those who have given everything to serve and protect this great city, this great state. In Jesus' name, amen.
You may be seated. I'd like to thank you for attending the Missoula Law Enforcement Memorial Remembrance and Celebration Ceremony here in the beautiful Memorial Rose Garden. This park was organized in 1944 as a tribute to the Montana members of our armed forces who were killed in World War II. It was later expanded to honor those who served in other wars and conflicts our nation has fought. Most recently, it was expanded to include a monument to the men and women of the Missoula Fire Department, past, present, and future, as well as the Missoula Law Enforcement Memorial, which lists the names of those who gave their lives in the line of duty. Each of the dates listed on this memorial are a reminder of a horrible day filled with shock, grief, anger, and terrible loss. Each of the 11 names listed on this memorial reminds us not only of a life and an officer, but of a family, co-workers, friends, and the community that they served at the time of their death. We're gathered here this evening to remember, with honor and appreciation, those who have given their lives for the peace and safety of our community. We're also here to say to their families, thank you, and you are not alone in your loss. We remember them too. We also gather here to show our appreciation to those who have shown valor and dedication while serving our community without the loss of life. These men and women we honor tonight remind us of the character, self-sacrifice, bravery, courage, and the community service exemplified in the lives of the officers whose names appear on this memorial. If you look closely, you'll also see the names of other officers who have been shot or injured in the line of duty, recovered, and continued to serve our community. We owe all of these individuals a great debt of gratitude. As a grateful community, we also want to thank all of the men and women of our law enforcement community who serve us day and night, 365 days a year. Their dedication to the community safety, peace, justice, and their own personal integrity help each of us to enjoy the lives that we enjoy here in Missoula County. Finally, we're all gathered here to, as Abraham Lincoln said at Gettysburg, it is for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. We want to be inspired again to the principles and to the ideals of what it means to be a law enforcement officer. Remembering these honored dead and thanking these honorees this evening will help us to do just that. This evening, the award ceremony will begin with the Administrative Captain Scott Hoffman presenting the awards for the Missoula Police Department.
Thank you, Chaplain Lee. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for coming. Chief Muir and Assistant Chief Brady are in Billings tonight for the state memorial ceremony. They were unable to attend. Because both of them were unavailable tonight, we held our award ceremony last week. I would still like to take this time to recognize this year's award recipients. Would Lieutenant Rich Stepper and Officer Ben Freudenberg please join me? Unfortunately, two of our other recipients, Officers Denny Poling and Mike Kammer, were unable to attend this evening's ceremony. That's good. Officer Ben Freudenberg, Life-Saving Medal. On July 8th, 2012, the day of the Missoula Marathon, officers were dispatched to the area of Hilda and Daly to a report of a marathon participant who had collapsed. The male was not breathing and had no pulse. When Officer Freudenberg arrived at the scene, citizens were attempting to assist the victim. However, no one was performing chest compressions. Ben immediately began chest compressions and performing the CPR process. When fire and medical arrived on the scene, the male had regained consciousness and was now breathing on his own. The next day, we learned the male had suffered a heart attack, but was doing well and was expected to make a full recovery. Ben's quick response to assess the needs of the victim and ability to perform life-saving measures greatly increased the victim's chance for survival and very possibly saved his life. For his quick actions and composure during this life-threatening incident, Ben was awarded with the Missoula Police Department's Life-Saving Medal. Lieutenant Rich Stepper, Police Medal. In the late evening hours of January 7th, 2013, information was learned regarding the possible location of a known dangerous suspect wanted on various narcotics and probation violations. Lieutenant Stepper and Officer Poling were first to arrive at the location and located the suspect vehicle, which initially was believed to be empty. As Lieutenant Stepper approached the vehicle, he observed a female occupant sitting in the driver's seat. Rich notified Denny, and they immediately adjusted their approach to the vehicle so Rich could try and make contact with the suspect. Lieutenant Stepper approached the vehicle from the rear on the driver's side, while Officer Poling provided cover from the rear on the passenger side. During the course of attempting to make contact with the suspect, she put the vehicle in reverse, disregarding commands from Lieutenant Stepper to put the vehicle into park, then, in an attempt to flee the scene, accelerated the vehicle and intentionally struck Officer Poling. Officer Poling was knocked to the ground where she became trapped under the vehicle and was dragged for several feet before being completely run over by the vehicle. Demonstrating complete disregard for Officer Poling, the suspect then put the vehicle into drive as if to drive over Officer Poling once again, forcing Lieutenant Stepper to do what nobody wants to have to do, fire his weapon in defense of another person's life. Lieutenant Stepper fired one shot at the suspect and was confident that he had struck her, eliminating the immediate threat to Officer Poling. At this time, Lieutenant Stepper made the tactical, safe decision to cease fire as the vehicle fled, thus ensuring the safety of innocent bystanders and other officers as they were arriving on scene, as well as provide immediate assistance to Officer Poling. The vehicle and suspect descriptions and direction of travel were relayed to other officers who were later able to apprehend the suspect without further incident or injury. Observations of Officer Poling indicated that the tires of the vehicle had passed across her hip area as well as her forehead, nearly resulting in her death. Upon his arrival at the scene, Officer Mike Kammerer provided medical assistance and support to Officer Poling. Officer Kammerer was also vital in relaying critical details pertaining to the fleeing suspect and her vehicle. For the next 15 hours, Officer Kammerer remained at the hospital with Officer Poling and her family, providing constant support and reassurance that Denny would be okay. Mike kept the members of the police department updated on Denny's medical status, becoming a valuable liaison for the family, our department, and the community who were expressing great concern for Officer Poling. After her release from the hospital, Officer Kammerer continued his support for the family, helping to locate and equip the home with fixtures and equipment necessary for Denny's recovery and comfort. He continued to assist Denny by providing transportation when needed and organizing trips with their team members to include lunch dates with Denny so that she knew her team was behind her and that she had not been forgotten. Mike still maintains close contact with Denny and her family, calling, visiting, and providing support and any assistance in any way he can as he has continued to be a liaison for the department. Officer Poling has stated that Officer Kammerer's dedication to his friend and his fellow officer and her family was above and beyond what anyone would have or could have expected. Mike's vigilance, support, and determination to help Officer Poling and her family through this traumatic ordeal has been instrumental in her recovery process. Lieutenant Rich Stepper, for his calm, collective demeanor in one of the most stressful situations a law enforcement officer can face, for his foresight and intelligent decision-making at the scene to ensure the safety of the public and prevent further injury to Officer Poling, and for his exceptional performance of his duties, we presented Lieutenant Rich Stepper the Missoula Police Department's Police Medal. Officer Mike Kammerer's actions exemplify his commitment to his fellow officers and this department, and we awarded him with the Meritorious Service Medal. During the course of her duties as a police officer, while serving the citizens of Missoula, Officer Poling was injured in a capacity which nearly cost her her life. Her injuries were massive. She suffered multiple fractures to her hip, femur, and ankle, requiring 2 extensive reconstructive surgeries, as well as other injuries. For her commitment to the Missoula Police Department and our community, putting her life on the line to keep our citizens safe, we are honored to have presented Officer Denny Poling the Missoula Police Department's Purple Star. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to show you what our officers are capable of and the risks that they take. And now let me introduce Carl Ibsen, the sheriff, who will be presenting the Officer of Public Safety University Police Department Awards.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you for all of you who came. Obviously, this is a real special day for law enforcement every year, and it's a real special day for the community. We thank you for being here with us. Officer Johnson and Officer Gladwin from the University Police Department, would you come up, please? On April 10th, 2013, Officer T.J. Johnson and Captain Ben Gladwin responded to a report of a university employee flagging down help on the north side of Washington Grizzly Stadium. Upon arrival, they found that a man had fallen into the river. The river current had pinned the man against a log jam with his head barely above water. Due to his mental and physical state, the man was unable to swim or to grab a rescue rope the officers had thrown to him. Captain Gladwin and Officer Johnson had called for rescue assistance, but could no longer wait when the man's head slipped under the surface of the water. Captain Gladwin and Officer Johnson entered the water, pulled the man to safety. By this time, the man had become delirious, and when pulled ashore, he became combative. Gladwin and Johnson struggled with the man to prevent him from re-entering the water. Shortly after that, help from the Missoula Police, the fire department, and the ambulance arrived and brought the man to safety. For their selfless actions, by putting themselves in harm's way, Captain Ben Gladwin and Officer T.J. Johnson are awarded the life-saving medal. The man in the river would have drowned if it were not for their actions. Under Sheriff Clark, would you come up here and help me?
Thank you. The awards from the Missoula County Sheriff's Office Detention Center this year are all life-saving awards. These awards are earned by 5 officers for 2 different life-saving events. Could those officers please join us up here? The life-saving ribbon is awarded to any person who, while serving in any capacity with the Missoula County Sheriff's Office, distinguishes himself by saving a human life. The person recommended for this award must have been instrumental in the effort to save the life in question, and there should be no doubt that the victim would have died without the assistance rendered. Detention Officers Pamela Blenderman and Steve Roney, please step forward in line. On February 5th, Detention Officer Stephen Roney was escorting an inmate from court back to his housing pod within the Missoula County Detention Facility. Officer Pamela Blenderman was already within the housing pod conducting a routine inmate welfare check. Officer Roney and the inmate entered the unit, and Roney removed the subject's hand and leg restraints. As soon as the inmate was free from restraints, he quickly ran up the upper level stairs and began to climb over the railing. Officers Roney and Blenderman quickly assessed the situation and identified it as an attempt by the inmate to jump off the railing to what would likely be serious injury or potential death. Roney led Blenderman quickly up the stairs to intervene while both officers yelled orders for the inmate to stop. The inmate was intent on jumping, and just as he cleared the railing, Officer Roney grabbed the inmate's pants waistband. The inmate let go of the railing and began to fall. Officer Roney was able to swing the inmate back against the railing and started to ease him down to the ground. Officer Blenderman went down to floor level to get a hold of the inmate. The momentum of grabbing the inmate was enough to pull Officer Roney over the railing. In what can only be described as an acrobatic maneuver, Officer Roney let go of the inmate at the last second and swung himself in a cartwheel-type flip over the railing and onto the floor to his feet. The inmate fell to the floor from an approximate height of only 1 foot without causing any injury. Both officers then secured the inmate and placed him back in his cell with the help of other responding officers. These officers' actions prevented a tragedy and likely saved a life. Sheriff Ibsen will present the awards. Detention Officers Timothy Falwell, John Hagel, and Ryan Manning, please step forward. On April 15, 2013, Officers Timothy Falwell, John Hagel, and Ryan Manning rendered help to an inmate that was attempting to hang himself with a bed sheet tied around his neck, with the other end tied to a railing on the upper tier of the day room. These officers responded quickly, and as the inmate made it over the railing and began to fall, the officers worked as a team to get the inmate to safety and stabilize the inmate by removing the sheet from around his neck and kept him from hanging from the upper tier. Without their help, this would have likely caused serious injury or death. These officers' keen attention to detail, quick thinking, and use of their training succeeded in ensuring the inmate's life was saved. The professional and commendable life-saving action is praiseworthy and honorable. The actions taken bring great credit upon you and your profession and are in keeping with the highest standards and traditions of the Missoula County Detention Facility and the Missoula County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Ibsen, present the awards. Captain Giffen, could you step up?
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for coming. I think it means a lot to everybody that's here. The awards for the Sheriff's Office for the downtown operations this year are Sheriff Star Medals and Meritorious Performance Ribbons. These awards were earned by 4 different deputies for 3 separate events. And could I have that group step forward, please? Senior Deputy 2 Jared Cochran and Detective John Lamb, please step forward. These deputies are awarded the Sheriff's Star Medal. To justify this decoration, a deputy must accomplish or perform his or her duty above that normally expected, and such actions must be sufficient to distinguish the individual among those performing comparable duties. Minor acts of heroism and valor, single acts of merit or meritorious service in connection with law enforcement operations may justify this award. On Thursday, August 16th, 2012, you responded to the 4600 block of Edwards Avenue to a reported house fire. The information that you received from the 911 dispatcher was that there had been some type of explosion in the residence. This explosion and subsequent fire had been the result of a 10-year-old female who had been using some type of aerosol spray. Upon arrival, you were not certain as to whether or not anyone was still inside, but neither of you hesitated to act. You grabbed your fire extinguishers from your vehicles, and without any protective gear, you selflessly ran into the burning home and located the fire in a utility room in the basement. This entire room was filled with smoke and flames, and the fire was on the verge of spreading out of control. Your combined efforts were able to completely extinguish the flames, saving the structure. The homeowner, Carol Bridges, remarked that she believed that the house and all of her personal property would have been lost had it not been for your quick thinking and selfless actions. Your decisive, professional, and selfless conduct this day reflect great credit upon you and your profession and the Missoula County Sheriff's Office. Lieutenant Jeremy Meter, please step forward. Lieutenant Meter is awarded the Meritorious Performance Ribbon. This ribbon is awarded to any person, while serving in the capacity of Missoula County Sheriff's Office, distinguishes himself by extraordinary, superior performance of duty, above and beyond that expected of a person in that rank or job description. This award is given to you in recognition of your extraordinary and superior performance of your assigned duties, above and beyond that expected of a person of your rank and your position. Over the last several years, the Sheriff's Office has suffered through gross understaffing due to retirements and other personnel issues. This lack of staff has created a need to overload some who hold staff level positions. In addition to your full-time duties as a training officer for all of the downtown employees, which also includes all reserve deputies and running the reserve deputy training program or their basic academy, you are also saddled with the additional duties of being a member of the explosive ordnance disposal team, which in and of itself is a full-time job, and being assigned as a deputy county coroner, expected to do death investigations. You were further made responsible for the maintenance of the entire Sheriff's Office patrol fleet, which includes but is not limited to maintenance records and purchasing. And as if that wasn't enough, you were also made the project manager for a new records management system, and you were selected for researching, selecting, and implementing an in-car video program, in-car video system. You conducted all of these duties professionally and selflessly, spending countless hours away from your family, but you got it right. And not one time did I hear him complain about anything. Jeremy, your willingness to always step forward and lead from the front reflects great credit upon yourself, your profession, and the Missoula County Sheriff's Office. Senior Deputy Ken White, please step forward. Senior Deputy Ken White is awarded the Meritorious Performance Ribbon. This ribbon is awarded to any person while serving in a capacity with the Missoula County Sheriff's Office that distinguishes himself by extraordinary, superior performance of duty above and beyond that expected of person in that rank or that job description. On Thursday, January 17th, 2013, you responded to a disturbance at a known drug house in Lolo, Montana. With that mindset, you coaxed a female into participating into an interview about the illegal drug activity. Your interview, you were able to obtain information about a methamphetamine ring, along with information about a 20-month-old casino robbery. The drug information that you obtained led to the arrest of 3 subjects, the recovery of over 1 pound of methamphetamine, and the seizure of criminally possessed firearms. The casino robbery information you obtained led to the identification and the arrest of a male subject believed to have committed the robbery. Had it not been for your dedicated efforts and hard work, these dangerous drugs and several dangerous suspects would continue to be at large in the Missoula community. Senior Deputy Ken White, your professionalism, attention to detail, and extraordinary performance brings great credit to you, your profession, and the Missoula County Sheriff's Office.
Can I get the family escort and the officers that will be escorting also to stand back in the staging area? I was asked to give a brief history on the memorial from the beginning. So I got to learn some things that I didn't realize, and I thought I was kind of part of it. So I hope this educates all of us here. The memorial initially began as a way to remember Missoula Police Officer Steve LePaine. In mid-1998, it was realized that other fallen officers from Missoula had parks named in their memory. There was Gregory Park, named for fallen Missoula Police Officer Donald Gregory, and there was Kimmery Park, named for fallen Missoula County Deputy Sheriff Alan Kimmery. Years ago, there had been plans for a park named for Officer LePaine in the Bonner area, but these plans did not come to fruition. But then in 1998, the search started to locate a place to put a small plaque for Officer LePaine. With the simple idea of a plaque to be placed in remembrance of Officer LePaine, this memorial began to grow for the local fallen officers and their families. Bob Jordan of Western Montana Monument was contacted and told about the idea of the small plaque. A drawing was left with Bob, and Bob turned that little drawing of a plaque into a design for a $70,000 monument with the feature stone over 6 feet tall. An architect was needed to help put all this together, and Aaron Hanks and Vince Gavin were local architects working at HDG Architects. Aaron Hanks was also a Missoula County Reserve Deputy Sheriff. Hanks and Gavin pushed this project forward, and the company did this work pro bono. The first drafts of the monument were done by November of 1998. In January of 1999, the first letters to the community went out, describing the intent to erect this monument. A committee was formed consisting of the Missoula Police Department, members of the Missoula County Sheriff's Office, and retired Missoula police officers. Retired Officer Bill Reed worked very hard to help get this memorial placed right here in this park. By May of '99, fundraising was underway. Donations were collected and memorial pavers were sold to raise money. Final approval from the Missoula Park Board was given on July 13th, '99, and this location selected right next to the Rose Garden. Ed Christensen, father of current Missoula Police Officer Dean Christensen, contacted the committee and went about collecting donations and selling pavers. When the start of construction neared, Ed called in every favor from the people he had worked with during his construction and concrete career and got nearly every aspect of the job done pro bono or at cost. Ed was at the site daily, verifying measurements and ensuring that the specs for the monument were followed perfectly. Andy Benson was a local Boy Scout. His uncle had been a Missoula police officer, Officer Al Benson. Andy contacted the committee and offered to do all the landscaping on this project for his Eagle Scout project. Andy had boundless enthusiasm and brought his troop members and their families in to do all the landscaping work. Andy worked closely with the landscape architect to make sure everything was completed exactly as it was designed. Andy then collected donations from the community of shrubs, trees, and flowers for the site. Andy also helped to lay out the pavers just days before the unveiling. The Missoula Law Enforcement Memorial was unveiled on July 22nd, 2000, to a crowd of over 300 people, and within less than 2 years from the start of the idea. Members of the fallen officers' families were there to pull the cover off and reveal the completed monument to the public for the first time. Since the memorial was first unveiled, the family members of fallen officers have contacted the Memorial Committee and offered a heartfelt thank you for ensuring that their loved ones would not be forgotten and that we all would remember these special people who gave their lives unselfishly to help their community. One of the messages from family members that stood out was from Marilyn Thompson Lang, widow of Roy Thompson. Marilyn was there when the monument was placed, and she relayed that she had been a young mother with children when Roy was killed, and she barely remembered the funeral. Marilyn felt this monument bearing Roy Thompson's name was a second chance for her to say goodbye and know that he would not be forgotten. This memorial is a lasting tribute to the sacrifices made by these fallen officers and their families who have had to continue on. This memorial is also a lasting tribute to every member of law enforcement who puts their uniform on every day and to their families that support them. This memorial started as an idea for a small plaque for Officer Steve LePayne and then turned into this magnificent community-supported monument. This was a community project from the beginning and is a reflection of this community. But I have to recognize that the initial idea for a small plaque and the driving force behind all of this belongs to Lynette LePayne. Lynette, we all owe you a great deal of thanks, and I hope you will accept this display of thanks with an open and full heart. Thank you, Lynette, for lighting the first candle. You're wonderful. We will now have the roll call of names. James Thompson, Missoula Sheriff's Department, presented by Lieutenant Stepper. My mistake. Officer Nebraska. Edmund Trudeau, Missoula Sheriff's Department, presented by Captain Giffen. Paul A. Reed, Treasury Agent, remembered by his nephew, Tim Reed, escorted by Officer Tom Johnson. Lyle Ward, Missoula Sheriff's Department, presented by Deputy Lamb. Lloyd Stringer, Missoula Sheriff's Department, presented by Trooper Saloy. Roy Thompson, Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks, presented by Warden Copen. Donald Gregory, Missoula Police Department, remembered by his granddaughter, Jaden, escorted by Lieutenant Stepper. Stephen LePayne, Missoula Police Department, remembered by his grandson Ethan, escorted by Officer Merrifield. Alan Kimmery, Missoula Sheriff's Department, presented by retired Captain Scott McDonald. Alexander Ross, Missoula Police Department, presented by Officer Slater. Robert J. Heinley, Missoula Police Department, presented by Lieutenant Boucher.
Right. Hey.
They are hallelujahs when spoken or heard. Be heartfelt thanks to thee, dear Lord, and not just lovely words. And with each passing moment, till the ending of our days, be filled to overflowing with our never-ending praise. Hallelujah. 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 If tomorrow all the things which I worked for all my life, and I had to start again as a mother and a wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and you can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, Texas, my Texas, from sea to shining state, Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA, and I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless the USA. God bless the USA.
To all of you, past and present, who have sworn to support, protect, and defend the constitutions of our nation and our state, we say thank you. May God bless you and your family with peace and safety, success in your service to our community, and especially a sense of God's grace and presence in your life and with you. We will now hear taps played by Jim Bobbitt of the Olebeck VFW Post 209.
Center, base. Raise hand. Up. Raise hand. Up. Order. On. On. Retrieve colors. Left. Base. Base hand. On. Forward. On. Order. On. Ready. Halt. Follow.
We'd like to thank you for attending this evening, for honoring these individuals and their families. We'd like to say a special thank you to Tracy Clark, Lynette Payne, and Sherry Lipsky for all the hard work that they did behind the scenes to organize the ceremony tonight. And one last request is that we would like to ask all retired city officers that are here tonight to please move over in front of the monument after the colors have been retired, and we would like to have a picture. So thank you and good evening.
Good seeing you. Pretty good stuff.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Missoula Police Department, I welcome you here tonight to help me and the city of Missoula and the citizens of Missoula honor some fine men and women who contribute each and every day to this community's public safety, to provide a sense of security and strength and compassion to those who are in need. I'd like us to start this evening, if we could. This could be a rather interesting evening. We've got no specific program to fly by, so I'm planning to dismiss everybody about 11:30. If I could first ask you to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated, and thank you very much. That small little act of patriotism that we just did is actually a huge part of what the men and women who put on the uniform or put on the badge and come to work each day or each evening bring along with them. And each of them have taken an oath, in particular, to support the Constitution of the United States. And in doing so, they often place themselves in harm's way, or they are there to substitute themselves for others who may be in harm's way. As evidenced by many tragic deaths of police officers every year, we're reminded of the fact that when things are bad, instead of running from danger, we expect our police officers to run into danger. There are now approximately, every day it changes a little bit, but I think we have 99 sworn police officers for the city of Missoula right at this moment. And I will tell you that I know of no finer group of men and women committed to serving a community in the way that they do. And we're here tonight to honor examples of some of those men and women. I promised to make the awards portion of this as painless as possible to some of our honorees, and I will stick to that pledge. I literally did not prepare remarks tonight because I wanted to speak to you from my heart and to do what many in this community, including myself, fail to do on a frequent enough basis. And that is tell you from my heart how much it means to me to work with each and every one of you, and for the fine work that you do for this community, and for everything that you make possible, and the dreams that you bring with you, and those then that you carry on into your job and share with folks. We don't thank you enough. Frankly, we don't support you enough. And I want to make sure that I do that tonight. I want to make sure that each and every one of you know just how much you mean to me and how much you mean to this community, even though we don't say it enough. And I think I'll stop there. And I'm going to ask Mayor Engen now to join me and share any thoughts that he has. And then we will proceed on into our presentation of awards tonight. We have some very important and recognitions to make that basically cover the entire spread of our organization. So, Mr. Mayor?
I think the chief has been nothing but eloquent, so I don't have much to add other than my own thank you for all the fine work that you do. And a ceremony like this is a great reminder of the remarkable risks of the line of work you all have chosen, and I hope that risk also comes with reward. It certainly comes with reward for the community, so thank you for that. Thank you for the family members and friends who elect to be here as well to celebrate the really fantastic work of the folks we honor this evening. So with that, I'll do whatever the chief tells me.
Fantastic. If you don't mind staying up here with me, that's great, because tonight we are going to recognize members of the Missoula Police Department who, through various acts, have distinguished themselves as rising to the highest levels of service to our community and our organization. And I'm going to ask that the following officers and one of our civilian employees, Tracy Begley, please join us up here. Officer Matt Stonecipher, Officer Mitch Lang, Officer Ben Frudenberg, Officer Denny Poling, Lieutenant Rich Stepper, and Officer Mike Kammerer. Tracy? Tonight's awards are presented with the grateful appreciation of the citizens of Missoula and with pride of the Missoula Police Department. I'd like to read to you the basis for these awards that we're giving out tonight. Tracy Begley is our civilian volunteer coordinator, and she's been with us now since December of 2011. Many of you have probably had dealings with Tracy, particularly those of you in our department. But Tracy's work has gone above and beyond her duties with the volunteer program. I witnessed just such an example of this myself just last week, where Tracy showed up to an evening event over at the University of Montana to support the Missoula Police Department and its role in playing a public part of a service honoring men and women who serve in uniform. And Tracy is just always there for us. I would want to make sure to point out the fact that the enormous success of the volunteer program that has continued and grown under Tracy's direction. The people that Tracy has recruited are exceptional. They match up in lockstep with the wonderful people that we have served with us for many, many years. From marking abandoned vehicles to keeping the pond database current to compiling a history of our department, and most recently working to update our tribute to officers that are killed in the line of duty. The volunteers are an invaluable resource and an integral part of our department. Two volunteers even assisted Detective Ariana Adams in a search on Waterworks Hill for a firearm in terrible, terrible condition. Certainly a reflection of the leadership and the examples of going the extra mile that is set by Tracy. Tracy does go above and beyond her assigned duties in many different ways. This last year, one such example of that was the tremendous effort that she put into making sure to help coordinate and make possible the Women in Law Enforcement Conference that was hosted by the Missoula Police Department. In her nomination for this commendation, both Detective Adams and Lieutenant Sandy Cassina addressed the vast hours of her own time that Tracy gave up using her experience working with the community to find businesses and people to help support and contribute to that event. And so not only did Tracy secure vendors, but she also provided additional help with registration, gift bags, setting up the entire event. So these ladies in particular felt that without Tracy's contribution, the Wiley Conference would not have been a success. She daily demonstrates her commitment and dedication to her volunteers, to our department, and everyone benefits from her skills, enthusiasm, seemingly endless amount of energy, and of course, her contagious smile. So we want to just say thank you, Tracy. We appreciate you for all you do for the Missoula Police Department, and for that, we are going to award you a certificate of commendation. We'll probably get everybody together for a group picture here in the end. Officer Matt Stonecipher and Officer Mitchell Lang. These gentlemen are also going to receive certificates of commendation. Between May and October of 2012, the Detective Division worked a series of related cases involving stolen vehicles, burglaries, thefts from motor vehicles, and illicit drug activity. Officers Matt Stonecipher and Mitch Lang of the Street Crimes Unit were asked to gather information to assist in ending this crime spree. Matt and Mitch began getting information and results, including the recovery of 7 stolen vehicles and evidence that conclusively linked the ongoing crimes of 2 main suspects. In October, Officer Stonecipher located another stolen vehicle and made the decision to watch the vehicle and wait for the suspect to return. This resulted in the arrest of one of the suspects who by that time had accumulated $65,000 in warrants. No small feat. A few days later, Officer Lang acted on information that he had gathered, resulting in the arrest of the second suspect. Officers Stonecipher and Lang went the extra mile to collect valuable evidence in these cases, right down to pulling the same brand of chewing tobacco known to be used by the suspect from 3 different vehicles. Officer Stonecipher seized a cell phone and was able to obtain photographs of several other stolen vehicles, which resulted in the recovery of even more stolen property. Both officers have gone above and beyond, even photocopying paperwork and receipts recovered from the cars, which enabled detectives to locate surveillance of the suspects in the stolen vehicles. The intensive 6-month investigation and the pressure applied to the suspects in this case during that investigation no doubt kept them from committing even more crimes. These investigations were also time-consuming and extremely complex. While many other patrol officers assisted Stonecipher and Lang in their efforts, the most credit goes to these 2 officers for this highly successful offender-based investigation. County Attorney Jason Marks complimented these officers on their quick thinking and their strategy for investigation and arrest, as well as the quality of their work. Both suspects eventually accepted plea agreements, no doubt based upon the sheer quantity and quality of the evidence amassed against them. And vehicle thefts in Missoula dropped significantly as a result. It is based on these actions by Officer Stonecipher and Officer Lang that Detective Stacy Lear nominated them for their certificates of commendation. Mitch. Officer Ben Frudenberg tonight is being awarded a life-saving medal. On July 8th of 2012, the day of the Missoula Marathon, officers were dispatched to the area of Hilda and Daly to a report of a marathon participant who had collapsed. The male was not breathing and had no pulse. When Officer Frudenberg arrived at the scene, citizens were attempting to assist the victim. However, no one was performing chest compressions. Ben, realizing this, immediately began chest compressions and performing the CPR process. When fire and medical arrived on the scene, the male had regained consciousness and was thus breathing on his own. The next day, we learned that the male had suffered a heart attack but was doing well and was expected to make a full recovery. Ben's quick response to assess the needs of this victim and ability to perform life-saving measures in a very split-second decision greatly increased the victim's chance for survival and very possibly, quite likely, saved his life. For his quick actions and composure during this life-threatening incident, Ben is being awarded the Missoula Police Department's Life-Saving Medal. this is where I have to keep my promise of not making too much out of things. Tonight, Lieutenant Rich Stepper, Officer Mike Kammerer, and Officer Danielle Poling are all receiving awards related to an incident that could have likely had a much significantly different outcome. I cannot thank our good Lord enough for the fact that we had the outcome that we did. Tonight we will be issuing a police medal to Officer Danielle Poling, to Lieutenant Rich Stepper, a meritorious service award to Officer Mike Kammerer, and for her injuries in the line of duty, a Purple Star medal to Officer Danielle Poling. These three officers standing before you were faced with a situation every police officer trains for, but hopes they will never be faced with. An officer severely injured in the line of duty, the need for the use of deadly force, and the ensuing traumatic events of days, weeks, and months to follow. In the late evening hours of January 7th, 2013, I'm pretty sure it was almost exactly 9:28 in the evening because I still remember the phone call. Information was learned regarding the possible location of a known dangerous suspect wanted on various narcotics and probation violations. Lieutenant Stepper and Officer Poling were first to arrive at the location and located the suspect vehicle, which initially was believed to be empty. However, as Lieutenant Stepper approached the vehicle, he observed a female occupant sitting in the driver's seat. Rich notified Denny, and they immediately adjusted their approach to the vehicle so Rich could try and make contact with the suspect. Lieutenant Stepper approached the vehicle from the rear of the driver's side, while Officer Poling provided cover from the passenger side. During the course of attempting to make contact with the suspect, she put the vehicle in reverse, disregarding commands from Lieutenant Stepper to put the vehicle in park, and then, in an attempt to flee the scene, accelerated her vehicle and intentionally struck Officer Poling. Officer Poling was knocked to the ground, where she became trapped under the vehicle and was dragged for several feet before being completely run over by the vehicle. Demonstrating complete disregard for Officer Poling, the suspect then put the vehicle back in drive as if to drive over Officer Poling a second time, thus forcing Lieutenant Stepper to fire his weapon in defense of Officer Poling's life. Lieutenant Stepper fired one shot at the suspect and was confident that he had struck her, eliminating the immediate threat to Officer Poling. At this time, Lieutenant Stepper made a tactical safe decision to cease fire as the vehicle fled the scene, thus ensuring the safety of innocent bystanders and other officers as they arrived on the scene, as well as turn his attention to providing immediate assistance to Officer Poling. The vehicle and suspect descriptions and direction of travel were relayed to other officers who were able to apprehend the suspect without further incident or injury. Immediate observations of Officer Poling indicated that the tires of the vehicle had passed across her hip area as well as her forehead, nearly resulting in her death. Immediately upon his arrival at the scene, Officer Kammerer provided medical assistance and support to Officer Poling. Officer Kammerer was also vital in relaying critical details pertaining to the fleeing suspect and her vehicle, as Lieutenant Stepper's radio was malfunctioning. For the next 15 hours following this incident, Mike remained at the hospital with Denny Poling and her family, providing constant support and reassurance that Denny would be okay. I want to frame that in a slightly different way. Mike refused to leave her side for the next 15 hours. Mike kept the members of the department updated on Denny's medical status, becoming a valuable liaison for the family, for our department, and the community, who were expressing great concern for Officer Denny Poling. After her release from the hospital, Officer Kammerer continued this support for the family, helping to locate and equip the home with fixtures and equipment necessary for Denny's recovery and her comfort. even storing some of their furniture that needed to be moved at his own home. He continued to assist Denny by providing transportation when needed and organizing trips with other team members to include lunch so that Denny would know her team was behind her and that she had not been forgotten. Mike continues to maintain close contact with Denny and her family, calling, visiting, and providing support and assistance in any way he can, and has continued to be a liaison for the department. Officer Poling has stated that Officer Kammerer's dedication to his friend and fellow officer and her family was above and beyond what anyone could or would have expected. Mike's vigilance, support, and determination to help Officer Poling and her family through this traumatic ordeal has been instrumental in her recovery process. Officer Mike Kammerer's actions exemplify his commitment to his fellow officers and this department, and we are proud to award him the Meritorious Service Medal. Can't think of a more exemplary act of unselfishness than what Mike has demonstrated over the course of this time. And I know Denny feels that way too. For his calm, collective demeanor in one of the most stressful situations that a law enforcement officer can face, for his foresight and intelligent decision-making at the scene, to ensure the safety of the public and prevent further injury to Officer Poling, and for exceptional performance of his duties. We are proud tonight to present Lieutenant Rich Stepper the Missoula Police Department's Police Medal. Do I really have to keep my promise? She says yes. During the course of her duties as a police officer, while serving the citizens of Missoula, Officer Poling was injured in a capacity which nearly cost her her life. Her injuries were massive. She suffered multiple fractures to her hip, femur, and ankle, requiring 2 extensive reconstructive surgeries, as well as other injuries and an immeasurable amount of pain. Although she still has a long road of therapy and healing ahead of her, we are thankful that Denny is recovering and that she can be here with us tonight. She has in fact been able to return to work on a light duty basis, strictly the evidence of what a strong and committed woman, officer, employee she is. For her commitment to the Missoula Police Department and our community, for her sacrifices, for her courage, for putting her life on the line to keep our citizenry safe, we are truly honored tonight to present Officer Danielle Poling the Missoula Police Department's Purple Star, and we all look forward to Denny's return to full duty. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me tonight in congratulating all of these exceptional Missoula police officers and all of the officers and family members that are here tonight to join us in celebrating this event, to show that support and thanks that we, like others, can sometimes fail to carry over to every one of you. You are all exceptional people, And we all should be proud in knowing you and knowing that we are protected and served by some of the finest officers in the entire state of Montana. You may be seated if you care to. Thank you, sir. Yeah, you bet. We will get everybody up for a photo. Before we close tonight, I want to offer just a small explanation of why things were just a little bit different this year. I don't think we've probably done that. Assistant Chief Brady and I are going to be out of town next week and in attendance at the Montana State Memorial parade and services that are going on over there. And being that we will be all the way across the state in Billings, and that the date for the the Missoula Law Enforcement Memorial Ceremony couldn't be adjusted around that, I asked specifically that we conduct this awards ceremony here tonight so that I could be a part of it. It means a tremendous amount to me to be here, and I'm very grateful to all of you to have come here tonight. I hope that many of you will also be able to attend next week's ceremony, honoring those members of Missoula's law enforcement who gave the ultimate sacrifice of their lives in the line of duty. That ceremony will be on May 14th, and it will begin at 7 p.m. These ceremonies this year are being coordinated by the Missoula County Sheriff's Office, who we have been trying to work out a sort of a back and forth partnership on organizing those events. And so this year they will be the organizers for that event. But I would encourage members of the community and members of our organization to support them. We will be reading aloud in the awards portion of that ceremony the recipients of the medals tonight. And you know, as I say, I really hope that folks would be able to join them there. It's at the Law Enforcement Memorial in the Rose Garden. So with that, I don't have a whole lot more to offer except to repeat again my thanks to everyone, but particularly my thanks to all the officers that I work with each and every day. It's an extreme pleasure and something that I'm very proud to be able to have served as the chief here in Missoula for just right on 5 years now. So thank you all for being here. I am going to ask, while people are still seated, if we could have all the award recipients come back up with your awards and stand across here with me so that we can let folks take some photographs of the group. Do we need to squeeze in more? I know how that usually goes. One smile, one smile. All right, that's enough. Right, Danny? That's your answer, boss. So being that we have this lovely room and all you folks here in attendance in a quaint setting, We also decided to turn it into a little bit of a reception. So we do have cookies and coffee and juices and so on. If you would join us. I want to thank a number of folks before we close. First of all, I want to express appreciation to the mayor for being here and for a number of our city council members for joining us as well. It's always wonderful to see that support extended across the wide range of city services. The setting here tonight was assisted. We had a couple of our folks who assisted us in getting everything set up, so I'd like to thank Kate Peterson and Jenna Valinkity for all the help that they gave to Lynette in setting things up tonight. So thank you very much and enjoy yourselves. You know, it seems fitting to have one more round of applause for all of our honorees tonight. And thank you.